Hi, mystery writers. Welcome to Write a Killer Mystery. I'm Zara Altair, mystery writer, and this is where we learn to make a good mystery great. Today, I want to talk about the first chapter. How do you write a mystery's first chapter? First, I want to thank my supporters on Patreon. They support these videos and my writing, and I write to them about my progress. So if you'd like to join, there's a link in the description below, and welcome aboard. So in Mystery's first chapter, there's a lot of information out there about the first sentence, the first page, even the first 10 pages. But today I want to talk about the whole first chapter, what that means, because what you're doing in that first chapter is welcoming your reader into the story. Your first chapter really does a lot of heavy lifting. It introduces the protagonist, it sets the tone of the story, it establishes the genre, and it hooks the reader into your story so they'll want to keep reading. The opening chapter gives your reader a first glimpse of your story. This is it. This is the promise. You're promising them this is the way it is, and as you continue reading, there's going to be more like this. There's no second chance for a first impression. Your first chapter is your first impression, and it's how readers judge whether your story is right for them or not. It brings your reader into the story and entices them to keep reading. It's probably the most important chapter in your novel, because if it fails, your reader will stop reading. They won't get to those good parts later on because you want that first chapter to be one of the good parts. It's that simple. If you've got a great scene later on, but your first chapter doesn't bring them into the story, they're never going to get there to that great scene. So let's talk about 5 first chapter must-have ingredients. Because your first chapter is the invitation to the rest of your mystery, you need 5 major ingredients to introduce your reader to the story. What you're doing is you're saying, this is the world, this is who's in it, here's the problems, here's what people are like. So of course you want an interesting and or sympathetic protagonist, and that's your sleuth. So you want to show your sleuth displaying some of their skills. You want to introduce them to your sleuth's personality and how they work, how they think, how they act. You want to set the tone for your story. You're going to establish the point of view. Is it told in the first person or the third person? Those are usually the choices for mysteries. And then the tone itself of the story. Is it dark and foreboding and mysterious, or is it lighthearted and whimsical? You can write mysteries either way and everything in between, but you want to give your reader a taste of what the tone of the rest of the story is about. And then you want an engaging opening conflict. There's something that's right in your protagonist's way. It probably has nothing to do with the big mystery that's going to come, but it's going to show your readers how your protagonist responds to the world around them, especially when there's a problem. So you want to give your sleuth a problem that illustrates their personality traits and their skills. This isn't the main conflict. This is just something that comes up, and your reader gets to see how that character responds to their world, how they deal with people, how they deal with a problem. Is it the way that here's what your reader's thinking. Is it the way that they would respond to this problem? Or, wow, is this character is doing things that I would just never think of? Anyway, you need to show your protagonist in action. So you want that engaging opening conflict. And you also want to let your readers know where they are. So you want to give them a sense of place. Is it a big city? Are they out in the country? Are they at the coast by the ocean? Are they on the water in the ocean? Are they on the water in the lake? Are they in the woods? But give them a sense of where the story takes place. It only takes a couple of sentences to ground your reader in the story. Otherwise, I call it characters floating in space. Your reader just doesn't know where this is taking place. You also want to give just a hint of what's to come. You're showing how your character deals with conflict, and the tone foreshadows the way the story is going to be told for the rest of the book. And they're getting a glimpse of your sleuth skills and their shortcomings as they solve that little problem that you introduce in the first chapter. Because the beginning sets up the story. And you make a promise to your reader that all of these ingredients that you're introducing them to at the beginning will have more importance as the story progresses. So then I wanted to do a little chat about chapters versus scene. A chapter works to pace the novel for your reader, right? When the chapter ends, it's like a break. The reader can get up, go deal with their family, wash dishes, go for a walk, do whatever they need to do, but it's a break, and you control the breaks in your story. A scene is a small section of your story, and it presents a point where your character attempts to accomplish a goal and faces obstacles, and they either win or fail. So the point is that each scene is like a mini story with a beginning, middle, and end, and a chapter can have more than one scene, or one scene can be the entire chapter. It's up to you how you structure it. But how you structure that first chapter is up to you. You want to lead your reader far enough into the story so a break, the end of the chapter, feels like a natural pause in your story. And then also the beginning is the hook. There's lots of advice about hooking your reader with the first sentence or the first paragraph or the first page. But for me, and I think for most readers, there's a bigger hook, and that is the entire first chapter. This is the story I want to read. By the end of the first chapter, they should know this is a story I want to read. They like the tone, they like the way you tell the story, they're engaged with the character, they see how they deal with a problem, and now they're eager to get to the big problem, which is the mystery they're going to solve. Okay? Readers want to think about if they would handle the problem the same way, or they want to see that the sleuth skills give that sleuth an edge. And they really like seeing if your sleuth does something wrong right at the beginning. Did they lose their temper? Did they drive over a curb? I mean, it doesn't have to be big. It just has to be like a human, three-dimensional character. So you want to make sure that the beginning chapter matches the tone of the rest of the story, and that you let the reader know where they are. And no matter how many books you read or formulas you consider for writing your story, at the beginning you want to engage your reader, and you want to, this is your promise. This is your promise to your reader. If you like this, it gets even better. That's the promise you want to give your reader. You don't want to say, okay, I got this hot love scene at the beginning because it's a hook, and then all of a sudden you're writing tense kind of action thriller stuff from that point on. That doesn't work. That feels like a trick. Readers do not like to be tricked. So I think it's much better, and I think it's easier to write that first chapter if you think of the whole chapter as the hook. You're like bringing your reader into the story, and you're introducing them to your character, and you're giving them a vision of the world. And your reader says, yeah, I want to be here. I want to see what this character does, because I already know it's a mystery. So let's get going with the big problem now that I've seen how the sleuth works with a little problem. Okay, that's it. I think the biggest takeaway for today is to think of the whole first chapter as a hook. And because I think people get stuck with that first sentence as a hook, or the first paragraph as a hook. And it takes a little bit more than that to get your reader into your story and really ready to read the rest of your mystery. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions about this, or if you think it's confusing or it goes counter to a lot of what you've read about writing novels, please comment below. I'd love to see your comments. I feel pretty strongly about this. I think that your first chapter is the entrance into the story. It's the promise. It's the setup for the rest. And you want to assure your reader that this is how the rest of your story is going to feel. Right? So bond with your reader, hook them in that first chapter, and keep writing. So if you like this today, please subscribe and click that little notification bell so you'll know when the next episode comes up. I also want to thank Audible for sponsoring Write a Killer Mystery, and you will find a link below to get a 30-day free subscription so you can try listening to stories. So thanks again. Keep writing, and I'll see you next time.